Okay, we're going to go ahead and conclude the narration of this article entitled Special Access Programs, a look at secrecy levels and the Pentagon's missing trillions. Institute for the Study of Globalization and Covert Politics is where you can find this article. The article was written by Joel van der Rajden, first published September 10th, 2005. Last update, January 30th, 2018. We're going to continue where we left off and go ahead and conclude this. And I will have some commentary on a video if you care to hear my take on all of this. Okay, let me just continue where we left off. Okay, this is where we left off. Okay, so if you're looking to win a high-tech technology arms race with China or India, these are factors to take into account because genetic IQs in most of Northeast Asia simply are higher than those in the Middle East, Latin American, and certainly Africa. Most readers will have become very uncomfortable by now, but facts are facts. This is not a site that tries to survive by being politically correct. It's a site that is gigantic, that is a gigantic money drain because it only deals with the truth, or at the very least, honest analyses. So yes, political, economic, and military integration, increasing the native birth rate, and a moderately imperialist agenda of the West are all much more crucial in staying on top of the world than the effective managing of black programs. In an ideal world, China will turn fully democratic and become a partner of the West. It certainly is a country with a rich cultural history that has much to offer, especially when it turns back the clock by replacing strict Confucian and communist doctrines with more individualist Taoist principles. But even if all that is going to transpire, it's considerably better to remain the top dog. Extraordinary rendition and JSOC assassinations. It might be important to note that USAPs or deep black programs are not always have to involve the development of a new cutting-edge technology. Back in 2004, for example, Seymour Hersh reported on a USAP that was set up to circumvent national and international humanitarian laws. Rice and Rumsfeld know what many others involved in the prisoner discussions did not, that sometimes in late 2001 or 2002, the president had signed a top-secret finding as required by law, authorizing the Defense Department to set up a specially recruited clandestine team of special forces, operatives, and others who would defy diplomatic niceties and international law and snatch or assassinate, if necessary, identified high-value al-Qaeda operatives anywhere in the world. Equally, secret interrogation centers would be set up in allied countries where harsh treatments were meted out, unconstrained by legal limits of public disclosure. The program was hidden inside the Defense Department as an unacknowledged Special Access Program, or SAP, whose operational details were known only to a few in the Pentagon, the CIA, and the White House. Since this 2004 expose, the world has learned a lot about the CIA's extraordinary rendition programs to torture terrorist suspects, about JSOC drones and assassination teams, the role Blackwater USA in it, and how the Bush administration secretly set it all up. It's an interesting detail to have that these programs too began as unacknowledged special access programs. Summary. So are unacknowledged special access programs out of control in the United States? Good question. The term special access program, let alone unacknowledged special access program, is only very seldom mentioned in the media. For example, these terms have not been mentioned at all in relation to the NSA spy revelations in recent years of William Binney and Edward Snowden, even though one would expect that many of the NSA spy programs, as PRISM, Stellar Wind, Boundless Informant, and J-Trig, fell into this category. The term special access program did recently surface with regard to the Hillary Clinton email scandals, as Obama's Secretary of State Clinton, against protocol, maintained a private mailbox full of information on all kinds of special access programs. No details on these programs have been provided. Up until the Clinton email affair in 2015, it appears that the U.S. government has been quite capable of shielding the whole concept of special access programs from the public. The mainstream media have never been too particularly interested in delving into the subject matter, most likely for fear of being perceived as anti-patriotic, while the fringe network of coast-to-coast AM guests have been clogging up the internet with bogus information on these programs as involving crashed alien vehicles and secret space programs. In other words, nothing much can be concluded about these programs. Do any of the USAPs, especially highly questionable ones, never make it to the public? Most likely, but we don't know that answer for certain. I'd say it doesn't even really matter much at this point. SAPs and USAPs should continue to exist. It's much more important to make sure that the Pentagon is able to properly balance its books, so that the only question that remains revolve around officially allocated black budgets of the Pentagon and CIA. All the apparent waste, inefficiency, and corruption going on at the Pentagon, much apparently linked to defense contractors, only weaken the United States. It's quite stupid to allow it to go on. Then again, the Pentagon is very Republican and very conservative by nature, so it's hard to expect much cooperation from its bureaucracy. What's really needed is strong, honest president, or maybe just a Secretary of Defense with similar character. In other words, maybe we need to stay away from protesting the concept of SAPs and USAPs and instead focus on the Pentagon cleaning up its books and severing the ties between the Department of Defense bureaucracy and the Board of Major Defense Contractors. Ultimately, we should be focusing on building a transparent, stable society with economy so large that no undemocratic country in the world will be able to compete with us militarily and thus threaten our existence. And we're now at the appendix. I'll let this appendix scroll so you can see where you can pick up all of these links, articles about the missing Pentagon, Department of Defense trillions. So I'll let this scroll so if you want to look up any of these articles, you can. And I would like to say I found this article very interesting in lieu of Elon Musk and Doge and what they're currently doing as they're looking for all of this missing money. I found it very interesting that Trump was mentioned in the article here, that he did make a quote that the Department of Defense needs to be audited, and I wonder if Doge is going to make its way to the Department of Defense to audit them, to find out where are all of these trillions. I think Doge is highly hypocritical in that it's using the richest man in the world to find, where the budget has gone awry. I think it would have been fairer and more just had Donald Trump hired or appointed a committee of average everyday American citizens who make below $50,000 a year, who are single parents, male, female, of different races, raising their children alone. I think those are the group of people that would have really been able to tackle this budget and find out where all this missing money is going. So I think he missed a real opportunity to bring the American people together, to find out from people who have to deal with very tight budgets every day within their household. I also think it's highly, I didn't realize the article was going to have such harsh things to say on race, as far as who appears to be the most highly intelligent amongst us as different races and groups of people. Africa has had a very difficult 500 years of colonialism and imperialism, and has, people, hold countries just stripped of their resources, which makes it very difficult for people to achieve and attain high levels of education and skills whereby they can compete on a global level. So I think it's very unfair what was said here about Africans, as if it's a racial thing, as to why they have not won a Nobel Prize. I think the contributions that Africans as well as African Americans have made to the sciences goes without question. Even being in such, being such marginalized and oppressed groups, they've still managed to make huge accomplishments in the field of technology and sciences. And of course, I don't have time to list everything here, but I think it's, it was very racist of the author of this article, but I do commend the author for bringing together so much information into one article that really shows the depth of depravity of those who right now are in power, and who have been in power. It just shows you that this is a corrupt system full of actors, everyone playing a role, but nobody really doing anything of substance to look at programs that help those amongst us who have the greatest need, as where all the money is going is one huge lie. And this article just really did lay that out very well. The money is not going into the pockets of poor people. The money is going into the pockets of government contractors and people who are overspending in outrageous amounts without any, oversight. So that's where all this money is going. It's going into the pockets of people. People have obviously gotten very wealthy being government contractors and delivering nothing and doing nothing for the American people. So I think, a good start for Elon Musk and Doge would be to, if they really want to impress me, find out where all these missing trillions are that the Department of Defense has been spending for over the last 3 decades. Find that missing money if you want to impress me. But to break up families and all of this bravado, like a new sheriff's in town, making the world uncomfortable for people and their families, is just cruel and unjust. I believe that the American people could all come together and all agree that we need to find out where all of these trillions of dollars have gone. And as this article so adequately proved, that it's not even going into black op programs, that all of that's a scam, all of that's a smoke screen. It's going in people's pockets. And if Elon Musk wants to impress me, but he's probably gotten a huge chunk of these trillions himself, which is why he's the richest man in the world, which is why I say the whole thing is a huge joke. It's nothing but a parlor trick, to make people think they're actually doing something when they're not really tackling where the bulk of the American people's tax dollars have gone. So I would say, I'm glad I found the article. I hope those that listen to it will do some research on their own, and I hope you all do put some comments underneath the video, as I would love to hear your response about this uncovering this amount of detail. And what it showed and what it proved was that the money is in the pockets of the rich, and